Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and it's time to look ahead for some of the early line value in Week 3 in the NFL. We still got 2 Monday night games ahead of us, and of course, we're always here Monday Night Football at 5 p.m. Eastern. Scott Bogman and myself are going to take you through those games, but it's time to already look ahead. A lot of injuries are going to impact a lot of these games. Saquon Barkley's injury, David Montgomery's injury, a whole lot of injuries, and maybe there's some opportunity where that lies. Of course, to help me do it, Sam Hoppen is back again. We've seen what the Sammy boys got for everybody today. Pat Fitzmaurice, as always, joining me on the program to look ahead. And just a reminder, as you guys are all here watching the show on YouTube, listening, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's how you do it, and click that bell till it goes ding for notifications, because we're giving away free stuff here all the time. Let's start with the first game straight out of the gate. We got some controversy because, well, the New York Football Giants have not gone off to the great start of the year. Certainly a butt kicking in the first game. The second game, down considerably at halftime to the Arizona Cardinals on the road, granted, but still. Then, of course, the comeback victory, but at the cost of Saquon Barkley. Pat Fitzmaurice, here we go. The San Francisco 49ers are 10-point favorites in this game. I'm sure some of the Saquon news could even see this line continue to grow. The total is 45. Right now in this short week without Saquon, it is hard to make an argument for the Giants. And the 49ers might be looking like the best team in the NFC. Your thoughts on any value here? Do you want to lock in this 10 because it might grow in the days ahead?
You would think that 10 points, the 49ers would look good as a favorite here, Joe. I mean, the 49ers are one of the three, I think, elite teams in the NFC, the others being the Eagles and Cowboys. And we saw the Cowboys swab the deck with the Giants in week 1, 40-0, you know, with the Giants being at home. So now the Giants have to go on the road, stay on the road, I guess, since they were just in Arizona. But here's the thing. I could see this game being played around the 10-point mark. And I just got burned on a Thursday night game with a backdoor cover last week when I thought the Eagles were a great bet against the Vikings at -6.5. And, the Vikings score late to make it a 6-point game, and I lose that bet. So I'm a little gun shy, and Thursday night football can be a little quirky. You know, we know this, so maybe, I don't know, maybe the 49ers just aren't clicking offensively in week 3 the way they have been so far. I'm not sure. I'm probably not going to play this game, although, who am I kidding? It's a Thursday night staying-alone game. I'm probably going to end up playing this game.
Well, look, last week I locked in the early line with the Vikings before it moved, and it did, so I was happy about that Vikings moment there at the end. But, Sam, look, I think the more time people have to marinate on this and how bad the Giants have been to start the season, let's be honest, this seems like a really tough road for them on this Thursday night game, especially having to go on the road. I like the 10. I want to lock it in now. What do you think?
It's tough. I mean, I think the Saquon news is obviously going to impact this a little bit. I don't think he plays. The thing is, New York has been pretty good this year at running the ball. They're 4th in rushing success rate, while the San Francisco defense is 30th in success rate allowed on the ground. But again, I don't expect Saquon to play. I prefer the under here. I think this is a game where the Giants just really aren't going to be able to score
That's a good point.
that much. New York Giants are allowing 45% pressure rate, which is the 4th worst, while the San Francisco defense has a 41% pressure rate. The Giants could be without Andrew Thomas and Ben Braidson again. So I think this could be a 30-0 blowout type game, which I guess would lean me towards taking the points for the Niners, but I just don't think the Giants have anything to be able to push this game over.
I agree. I think the under is a really good point there. And this worrying about that Giants offense without Saquon, what that looks like with Matt Breida and whoever else they decide to use running the football. And then look, I see this one being, by the time we get to game time, like 12.5. Like, I think this is going to be where it is. So I like San Fran at 10. Now, give me San Fran, give me the 10. Let's go. They're going to beat up on the Giants. Moving on to the next game here, as we start to transition on to the Sunday games, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Uncertainty there with Anthony Richardson in concussion protocol. We'll see how things go ahead for him. But as of right now, traveling to Baltimore, this number on Betting Pros right now, so you can get Baltimore -8.5 over at Bet MGM, and it's Sugar House plus 7.5 for the Indianapolis Colts. The 44.5, Sam, is where this number kind of lies. If you like Indy for the upset, if Richardson is healthy, you could lock this in at plus 330, but it feels like this might be one we have to wait on some clarity. Gardner Minshew, though, I mean, is going to be Gardner Minshew. He's going to have his moments, obviously, where he can certainly keep you competitive. Do you think that he keeps you competitive enough here that you think the Colts can go in here and maybe keep this close with the Baltimore Ravens?
If Richardson is playing, I do think they can keep it close. That 8 points is a lot for a Ravens team that has played well so far this year. They rank 6th in success rate on offense and 6th in success rate allowed on defense. But I just think Anthony Richardson is so dynamic. Obviously, the Ravens might know how to play it, given they have Lamar Jackson on the other side. I do think the over in this game is intriguing if we find out that Richardson is going to play. The Colts continue to play extremely fast, have the 5th highest no huddle rate, the 3rd quickest seconds per play. So I like the over. I'm not touching the points yet without knowing what the status of Anthony Richardson is.
Makes a lot of sense. Fitz, what's your take on this game with the uncertainty of Richardson?
I generally like betting the Ravens at home, especially when I feel like they're the superior team. I just wonder, like, is there any value to getting this at 8 points? Because what is the Colts' incentive to hurry back their franchise quarterback for a tough road game when they're not going anywhere? Like, they have no designs on a playoff spot. Their ETA is 2024 and beyond. So, I'm almost interested in grabbing this at 8. Like, I think the Ravens have a chance to cover it even if Richardson does play. But I think there's a pretty good chance the Colts exercise caution with Richardson and maybe hold him out a week.
Now, this is a very important game, obviously, to keep an eye on the lines. And the best way to do that, don't forget, is always using that BP app, because we have the line alerts, so you can set the notifications for certain games. This would be one of them, too, as things will fluctuate depending on the health of Richardson, if Minshew's in. So set your game notifications, and then once that line changes, you'll get the update notification right to your phone. Boom, you can make the bets. But again, use the line alerts over on the BP app. It's very important. Let's get to the next bit of business here. The next game on the slate, the Tennessee Titans coming off their first victory. Cleveland is going to play tonight on Monday night, as we're recording this in the morning on Monday. So far, it looks like 4.5 with Cleveland being the favorite. We'll see if that makes any impact after tonight's game. 41.5. You're getting this number somewhere on FanDuel and Sugar House in that range. Not surprising here. Fitz, we'll start with you on this one. Tennessee Titans looked much better. Tannehill looked much better. I know the Chargers are always a frustrating team. We know that. But the Cleveland defense, I think, is for real. I think we all agree. So how do you want to approach this one? Do you see any early value in this game?
I'm looking at the under, Joe.
Okay.
Two teams that like to run the ball a lot. I don't know how much I believe in the Titans defense overall, but I believe in their run defense, and we know the Browns want to run the ball. So I think it's two teams that are going to try to run quite a bit, and I don't know how successful they're going to be doing it. So, the under is calling to me. I'm not really interested in the line. I don't like laying a lot of points to a Mike Vrabel team. I get nervous about that, and I do think the Browns are good, but I don't know, like, the degree to which they are good. Like, I don't know if they're good, like, contend for conference championship, or just good enough to maybe sneak into the playoffs.
To that point, Sam, the plus 180 money line right now on Tennessee is really what's intriguing me. Like, this is almost 2-1 you're getting on this. And I think this could be one of those games, just like it seems like most of, what have we learned about the Titans? They're going to play close games. That's the first 2 weeks of the season is what it told us. No matter how good they play, how bad they play, they're going to kind of be in it because they're well coached. Does that, for you, mean that maybe people should start to pivot their attention to that money line number?
I'm on an island here. I like the Browns in this game. I think their defense is possibly a top 5 unit right now. Obviously, you have the game to play tonight, but I think the Tannehill we saw this past week against the Chargers is more the exception than what's going to be the rule this year, with facing what's a terrible Chargers defense. And I think there were a couple of coaching blunders from the Chargers side of things that let the Titans win that game. So I'd be laying the points here with Cleveland. I think their offense still has some stuff to figure out, but I don't think Tennessee's defense is really that good that they can, stifle the Browns offense. So I'm laying the Browns here with the points. Might wait a little bit just to see if this number creeps down to maybe -3. But I think at -4, it's still a solid value right now.
The Denver Broncos, maybe they would be 2-0 if he only played half of a game of football, but it seems like a second half struggle bus there for the Denver Broncos. They seem to have a hard time there keeping any leads, and of course now they have to go to Miami this week and take on Tyreek Hill 2000. They might be without Chris Olave. Excuse me, not Chris Olave. Jalen Waddle, pardon me, at some point this week. We'll see more information coming out there on his injury. But the Denver Broncos, regardless, it's been a very frustrating, I think, opening to the season for them. They're going to go on the road in this game. Sam, the number so far is 6.5 over at Sugar House. 46.5 is the total. It's hard to necessarily think that you're not going to get Miami in this victory here, but do you think that Denver is going to continue to get better as the season goes on here and learn from some of these mistakes? Or is this a Miami blowout, basically, from what the lines are telling us early on?
I do think this team is, the Broncos, that is going to get better. But this Dolphins offense is just so good, man. I mean, they're first or second in EPA per play, success rate, EPA per drive, excuse me, all the passing stats as well. Like, they are clicking on all cylinders. I don't think the Broncos defense is nearly as bad as they've shown, but they're also not, I don't think, good enough to be holding back this Dolphins offense. I love the Dolphins in this spot. I think you could pair it well with the over because the Broncos have a seemingly competent offense right now. At least that's what they showed. Russell Wilson had some of those prototypical deep ball air ball passes against the Commanders this past week. So I do think that this game could be a shootout potential, but expect Miami to come away with the victory.
Pat, what's your perspective here? It does feel like Miami is a lot to handle. And defensively, look, Denver keeps giving up leads. So let's just call it what it is. As good as their defense is supposed to be on paper, they're giving up points to the Commanders. They're giving up points to the Raiders, teams that we don't think of as elite offenses necessarily. So what's your take on this one?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Denver had one of the better pass defenses in the league in 2022, and they have not looked that way. They managed to make Sam Howell look like Joe Theismann in week 2. So, Denver has been disappointing, but I don't think they're one of the truly bad, truly odious teams of the NFL. They are not like dregs of the league bad. So 7 is, it feels like a lot to lay here. I'm probably just staying away from either side. And as much as I want to like the under here, thinking that Denver might be equipped to, if not totally short circuit the Miami passing attack, at least slow it down a little bit, especially if Waddle doesn't play. I don't know, based on what we've seen and based on what we saw them allow Sam Howell to do in week 2, I don't know if I can go there either, so I'm probably not going to touch this game.
The next one here, the New York Jets come back home, take on the New England Patriots. Very low total here, 38 is this number here, which I can understand. The last time these two teams met up, the final last November was 10-3. The time before that, 22-17. So I think this is why you're getting that 38 number. The New England Patriots are 2-point road favorites in this game here. Fitz, I agree that the New England Patriots should be favored in this game. I look at that 38, though, and that is a very low number. So do you think that is too low, that we should be betting that over now? Or do you think maybe these two offenses really are going to live up to the expectations of what we set so far? I think the Pats, though, are getting better. I really do. What do you think? What do you take away the last 2 weeks of both of these teams?
I want to smash the under here, Joe. 38, I mean, it feels like, I think it's... I'm finding it hard to see how these teams get this game past 30. I mean, I really do believe in the Jets defense. I think it's legit, and I think the Patriots offense has its limitations. And what did you tell me, Joe, before backstage when we were talking about this game? And I was kind of surprised the Patriots were road favorites. You reminded me about, Bill Belichick and, sub-tier, below-average quarterbacks and maybe Zach Wilson's history against the Patriots.
Yeah, lots of turnovers. 3 interceptions in that one game last year, and then a whole lot of other problems in the other one. But that's the thing, Sam. Like, you know, you're looking at what historically Bill Belichick has done to some of those lesser tier quarterbacks or youthful quarterbacks, and he has given them so many confusing looks that it does make it very difficult. And I know, you know, the Jets were going to be heavy underdogs last week against Dallas. We all knew that. So, in your opinion, do they get home, and can they pull off an upset here?
I mean, I think the Jets certainly can pull off the upset. One of my favorite picks for this game is teasing the New York Jets out to +8. That gets you through the 3 and 7. Again, you've talked about how this is a super low total, which means the game is likely going to be extremely close. The Jets defense is for real, in my opinion. The Cowboys played pretty well against them this past week, but again, they're just stopping. They stopped the Buffalo Bills, who again played excellent this past week. And so the only thing I wonder about with betting the under is New England has played pretty fast this year, and that may be because of the game scripts that they've been in, having to push the pace, try to catch up against the Dolphins and the Eagles. But I don't think their offense is peak right now. I think there's still room for improvement. So I think the Jets keep it close, and this could go either way.
All right. By the way, everybody, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, or even if you're listening, make sure you go over and you subscribe to the channel, because when you subscribe and drop a comment below, you could win a James Cook Buffalo Bills autographed jersey, thanks to us here at Betting Pros. Remember, just drop a comment, subscribe, and click the bell till it goes ding so you know if you're the big winner. That's all you have to do in order to get that jersey. We like giving away free stuff. Gave away an Aaron Jones jersey, giving away a James Cook jersey. So go, get in there, get that jersey. It should be yours. Go make sure you subscribe today. Let's get to the next game here on our list, the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is an interesting one, Sam. I've got my eye on this one. I like what I've seen, that CJ Stroud is competing. He is trying to get out there and compete with what he's got. He might not have a lot, but I think this is an interesting work in progress. I don't think he's got any quit in him. The number here is 45.5 over on FanDuel currently. The spread for this game you're looking at, you can get +9 on DK for the Houston side, -9.5 on Sugar House. And this is why you use the BP app, because you can make sure you're getting all the best lines wherever you go. So, you know, Jacksonville had a tall task ahead of them last week. Do you think Jacksonville just completely rolls Houston, or can Houston actually keep this one a little closer than that 9, in your opinion, Sam?
I do think they can keep it close. The Jaguars have a 24% pressure rate, which is 30th in the league on defense, and CJ Stroud's numbers with and without pressure have been extremely stark. He's been much better with a clean pocket, obviously, but it is very, very bad when he is under pressure. So if Jacksonville can't get home, I think CJ Stroud has an opportunity to pick apart this Jaguars defense. In the game this past Sunday, the Jaguars went, I think, 0 for 4 in the red zone. Like, they were just terrible in the red zone, couldn't finish drives, and I think they'll be able to do that against Houston's defense. So I think Houston can keep it close. I think this is another opportunity again to possibly tease Jacksonville down to -2.5.
Okay, interesting. Now, I do agree that Houston can keep this close, Pat. I'm not looking for Houston for pulling off the upset here, but I do think there's something for the Jags. You know, you come out there, you win that big first game on the road, and then you have the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like there could be a little bit of a letdown here in this one, where you start to relax a little bit, saying, Houston's coming to town, and you roll your eyes a little bit, and this game ends up being a little closer than you think. I like the 9 on the Houston side, but what are your thoughts on this one, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars struggled for part of week 1 with the Colts, and then, you know, the offense did not look crisp against the Chiefs. We thought we might get a shootout in that game, didn't get one. To Sam's point about CJ Stroud's, the stark difference between him under pressure and with a clean pocket, I'll be interested to see what the injury report looks like for the Texans and their offensive line. Like, they've had a lot of banged up offensive linemen. If they start to get some of those guys back, maybe that's an argument to be made for taking the points here, because I don't know if the Jags should be really giving 9 points to anyone outside of maybe the Arizona Cardinals right now. And CJ Stroud overall, even if the results haven't been as good with pressure, he's been impressive. Like, he is the real deal. So I don't know. It seems like it's a little bit much to me.
Okay, let's move on to the next one here. The Detroit Lions came home the conquering heroes, but unfortunately went home with a loss in overtime to the Seattle Seahawks. The Atlanta Falcons, however, they are 2-0. They're going to go to Detroit now. Detroit is going to be without David Montgomery in this game. We know that. So you're going to see maybe some more Jahmyr Gibbs working. You're going to see Reynolds working. So it's going to be a little different committee there. The Falcons are 4.5-point underdogs here, which I think sounds right to me, Fitz. 46.5 is the number on this one. Had some really great moments from Bijan Robinson again last week. Raiders starting to look a little bit more comfortable throwing the football. Again, it's not perfect, but starting to look a little bit more confident as things go by. Do you think that the Lions just roll and bounce back here against the Falcons, or do you see any value here where the Falcons maybe give the Lions all they can handle?
I think the Falcons could give the Lions all they can handle. I mean, the Lions just got diced up by a Seattle Seahawks offense that was missing its 2 starting offensive tackles. Like, that was kind of an alarming defensive performance by the Lions. So I actually sort of like the over in this one. And I kind of like the Falcons in any game against a non-elite team where they're getting more than a field goal, which is the case here. I mean, I think the Falcons are just built to play in these close games and, keep it close. And I think they're going to do that here in Detroit.
Well, I think whenever you have explosive playmakers, too, like when you have the Bijan Robinsons of the world, you have the Jahmyr Gibbs, like all of a sudden these totals are never safe. 46.5 is a good number, but I'm kind of where Fitz is here. I like this over on the 46.5, minus 110. You can get this at FanDuel. What are your thoughts, though, about this 46.5 in this game, Sam, and the spread as well?
I think the over is the play here as well. Both defenses have shown a little bit of spunk. Obviously, the Lions basically, shutting down the Chiefs' offense, but I think there were a lot of drops that we talked about last week. But then got diced up again to Pat's point against the Seahawks. The Falcons defense again played well against a rookie CJ Stroud, but then played not so great against future Hall of Famer Jordan Love. And I think Atlanta...
Okay, just slip that in there. Future Hall of Famer. I told Pat this morning when we did the waiver wire show on Fantasy Pros, I said, I think the Packers are going to win this division, Pat. I have not bet anybody yet. I think the Packers are going to figure that out. So, yeah, maybe not Hall of Fame, but I like where you're going here. Go ahead. Keep going, Sammy.
In any case, I do think Green Bay lost that game Sunday more than Atlanta ended up winning the game. So I'm on Lions -4 here. I think their offense is legit. I think they can, again, tear apart this Falcons defense despite some of the additions they've made this offseason. So, again, the over and Detroit -4 right now for me.
That's a good pick there. I like where Sam's head's at. All right, make sure when you're making picks, too, that you're getting something out of it. So if you haven't already, joined the NFL contest. I keep telling everybody to do it. It's a great, fun thing. It's free, and you're getting free stuff just for picking games every week. You don't have to do anything and just make picks. That's it. bettingpros.com/NFL contest. That's how you do it. Or you just go to the community tab in the app, and you just go and join the NFL contest that way. We're giving away a grand prize with a Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey, autographed by JSN himself, and then we've also got some other prizes, weekly prizes, monthly prizes, free swag from Betting Pros, from Fantasy Pros, and also free premium upgrades to each as well. So get in there, get in that NFL contest. Join it today. It's free. It's fun. Don't you like free stuff? Everybody likes free stuff. Sam loves free stuff. I mean, all the free stuff. Sam's got a whole closet in his house just full of all the free stuff since he came over and started working for us, all the free stuff we've been given. All right, let's get to the next game here on our list here. After Detroit, we go to Green Bay. I'm here with the two cheeseheads. This should be fun. So Green Bay at home, Hall of Famer to be Jordan Love, as Sam put it, is going to to come home, and I think to a very warm reception. I think this is going to be a nice moment for him. They're going to take on the New Orleans Saints. Green Bay is favored by 2 in this game, -110 over on DK. You got 43.5 is the number. So Sam, put your cheese hat down for a second and give us the skinny from the data standpoint. Can the Green Bay Packers go ahead and win this football game?
I think they they can, you remove home field advantage, and it's basically these two teams even from a power ratings perspective. Obviously, the Packers offense has looked really good. Matt LaFleur has been great at scheming receivers open for Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I believe, has the highest total EPA in the league, or is at least close to the top right now. And I think that's a lot of credit to Matt LaFleur. Now, we have the Saints playing tonight, so we'll get another look at how they play against the Carolina Panthers. But their first game, they played pretty well. I think the one interesting note here is the Packers have over a 50% pressure rate on defense. The Saints offensive line did not hold up well last week with a 47% pressure rate allowed. So I think if they can get Derek Carr under pressure and lock down, again, a trio of great receivers on the Saints, then that is going to be the key for the Packers coming away with a victory.
Fitz, if Christian Watson is active for this game finally, who has not played in the first two, does that make any impact on your thoughts on trying to get some early value on this? Like, do you want to lock in Green Bay with the -2 now? And then if you get Watson back, does the line move, you think, to 2.5 or maybe even 3?
Maybe that offsets the fact that this is a Jamal Williams revenge game, Joe.
Oh, yes, all the revenge for Jamal Williams. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Watson return would even move this line like a half point. I mean, as much as I want to have...
He's such a dynamic playmaker, though. He's really explosive. Sure. Like, I don't... You might be right. It probably doesn't, but I think it should, and I think that's something people should consider.
Yeah, as much as I want to have a strong take on this game as a Packers fan, like I think the line and the total are spot on. I just don't see any value.
All right, do you see any value in Buffalo, Washington? Right now, Buffalo Bills got back on track. They got a W. Washington, undefeated Washington, 2-0. How about them apples? They're at home, but they're 6-point underdogs on DraftKings right now. 45.5 is the number on FanDuel. Brian Robinson's looked really good. I wish I had more shares. I thought it was going to be a lackluster split backfield, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like Brian Robinson's the guy. Buffalo seems to... I've done a better job of starting to, hand the ball off a little bit more. You got Cook getting involved. You got Latavius Murray, Damian Harris. You got everybody kind of touching the football right now. So can Buffalo go in here on the road against the Washington Commanders and go ahead and keep this 6? Or do you think this one is more on the Washington side?
Yeah, you had the nice preamble for this game, Joe. And I'm looking at my notes on Buffalo at Washington with the line and total. And my notes say, meh. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see any value at all in this game. Another one where I think the line and total are pretty spot on.
Sam, I actually want to wait on this one. That's my perspective. I think the longer we wait, the more confidence in the market on Buffalo grows, and I think this number gets bigger. And then the bigger it gets, then I want to bet the Washington side. But what do you think?
Yeah, I hate being on record with this, but I kind of like Washington here. I mean, their defense has played
all right. Look, I'm wearing
well.
The colors here. It might be Hogwarts I'm wearing here, but still, it's the color. But you're with me. You're not on an island alone, Sam. It's fine.
And they might need a little magic from Sam Howell to come away with a potential upset here. But I think their defense is, again, Washington's defense is good enough to keep this close. Their offense has been spunky. Again, I use that word again, but they've been frisky in these games. Sam Howell threw a lovely dart to Terry McLaurin in the end zone this past week against Denver, and have been able to move the ball again against Denver and Arizona. So take that for what it's worth, but are throwing the ball quite a bit. Their defense is getting a ton of pressure as well, and I think getting pressure on Josh Allen is going to be huge, because that's when you get him scrambling out of the pocket, making some of the bonehead plays that he has made in the past, not having any regard for his health whatsoever. And that's what's going to be key for Washington, is potentially forcing some of those turnovers that Allen has made in the past.
I'm where Sam is on this one. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient. I don't think the value is early on in this game. I'm gonna wait a little while. I'm gonna let this number get bigger, because I think that you could easily see a scenario where everybody's just buying back into Buffalo after 1 week, and I'm still not buying back into the Buffalo defense. Like, I'm still just not super impressed by them. The Los Angeles Chargers also not impressive. They're 0-2. So are the Minnesota Vikings. So somebody theoretically has to win this football game, although ties do happen. This one right now is the Vikings +1 at home. You're getting even money right now on FanDuel in the -1.5. Excuse me, the -1.5 on the Los Angeles Chargers. They are favored on the road. Home dogs here, Minnesota at +1. Pardon me. 51.5 is the number for this one, which is a high number, but I think they can get there considering the way these two defenses have played so far this year, especially that Vikings defense. Ooh-wee, that's been a problem. Sam, I like the Vikings to win this game. Give me the Vikings on the money line at +107. Give me the over. I'm attacking this now because I'm worried that the over continues to grow as the week continues to go. Your thoughts?
I don't have a pick for this game right now. I think later in the week when we get some more markets opening, I'd rather take an alternate spread on one of these teams to potentially win by a touchdown. This is going to be an extremely highly variable game. They're going to go back and forth. Neither team has been great at producing pressure. So if one team gets ahead, the other team should be able to climb back. I think, again, this is another great game to target some potential in-game lines with that variability. So I'm looking later in the week for some alternate spreads, probably on the Los Angeles side. I think I trust their offense a little bit more than Minnesota's.
There's no trust at all in this game. Fitz. I don't think you should trust either of these teams, which I understand makes it hard to invest. So this is just on instincts of, look, Minnesota should not have lost that first game at home. I don't think they're going to lose this in the game at home. And I think the Chargers, it's hard for the Chargers not to hear that narrative of like, you just can't elevate yourself to that next level that you need to if you're the Chargers. And Staley's job, I think, is going to be in danger when they go 0-3. And I think they're going to be 0-3. But maybe you disagree. What do you think about Minnesota, Los Angeles? I know this one's tight. Maybe the 51.5 is the best thing. You just go over and say these two teams just make too many mistakes on defense.
Joe is a lifelong Green Bay Packers fan. I'm morally obligated to hate the Minnesota Vikings. That said, I have already bet the Vikings in this game.
Let's go.
U.S. Bank Stadium, a tough place to play.
It is.
The Week 1 result notwithstanding, with the Vikings stubbing their toe against the Buccaneers, and I think they're going to want to wash that bad taste out of their mouth in this one. The Chargers are dead last in the league in defensive DVOA right now. And we actually saw the Minnesota Vikings offensive line hold up pretty well against the best pass rush in the league in Week 2 when they played at Philadelphia. And even without starting center Garrett Bradbury, even with starting tackle Christian Darrisaw, their best offensive lineman, playing at less than 100%, they mostly kept Kirk Cousins pretty clean in that game. And, that allowed the Vikings to hang with the Eagles in a tough environment. So I think they're going to put up points on this defense. I have to wonder about the Chargers' morale. They could easily be 2-0. They're 0-2, and I think they're, bad head coach has a lot to do with that. So I wonder if the esprit de corps is going to be there for the Chargers this week. So, and then, Joe, add to the fact that the Vikings have had the extra prep time after playing the Thursday night game in Week 2. So I do like the Vikings here, and I like the over. I think there are going to be points in this game because we know the Vikings do have a pretty shaky defense, and I think they're going to be these two teams could march up and down the field.
Again, let me tell you, I know the Vikings want to play a whole lot of man, but I just think that's what's going to also be the undoing of this over in this game. It's just, I don't know. It's just my feeling on this, but I'm glad you're with me on the Vikes here. So let's get to the next one. Seattle, now 1-1 there at home, taking on the Carolina Panthers. This one I do like a lot early. I want to lock this 4.5 in on the Seattle side at -110 on DK. Because, Pat, I'm just, look, I think Seattle, always a tough place to play. We talked about that. I think Seattle just kind of maybe didn't take the Rams as seriously as they should have out of the gate. And now, coming off a big road win in overtime, I am not feeling the Panthers this year. You know that. 42.5 is this number for the total. You can find that over on FanDuel on the Betting Pros app. Fitz, your thoughts on Seattle, Carolina?
I'm with you, Joe. I thought this line was going to be around 6. I think there's value to Seattle.
How about you, Sam? What do you think? You see any early value here to lock in Seattle? Are you with me and Fitz?
I'm with you both. Seattle has the 8th highest explosive pass rate, 2nd highest passing success rate. Their offense looked a lot better against this Detroit Lions defense, and think they can have success against Carolina as well.
And by the way, Joe, short week of rest for Carolina, and then they have to go all the way across the country.
Another great point. Yep. Yeah. Great point. Chicago Bears also, talk about a losing streak. Things are not going well for the Bears. There might be a coaching change coming there sooner than later as well. 49.5 is the number at FanDuel -105. Then 12.5 is the spread. You can get that over on DraftKings. Look, Sam, this should be an absolute smash by the Chiefs, but so far the Chiefs seem to me like a team that's still not in sync. I don't know if it's the new play calling, all the drops, whatever it is, if it's just Matt Nagy's presence just around them. But it is the Bears, and my goodness, they have been having some issues on that O-line too. Now Chris Jones is back. 12.5 is a big number, but do you think it's the right number, and do you think Kansas City can still cover it?
I do. I saw a stat this morning, this from NFL on Fox. There have been teams to lose 12 straight games while surrendering 25 plus points in every single game in NFL history. And that is the Chicago Bears, dating back to the end of last year as well. Their defense is horrendous. I think this is a perfect get right spot for the Chiefs offense. Chris Jones is going to manhandle this Bears offensive line. Justin Fields looks out of sorts, just holding onto the ball way too long. So 12.5, 13 is a lot to lay, but this is potentially the best team against the worst team in the league. So I think you got to lay the points with Kansas City here and just expect them to be firing on all cylinders on Sunday.
I keep expecting them to fire on all cylinders, Pat, but they haven't yet. So are you concerned at all? Is this 12.5 too big for your taste?
I mean, I do hate laying this many points, especially with the Chiefs, who sometimes have a bad habit as a big favorite of being the cat that plays with the mouse, like not putting away the teams they should put away.
That's a good assessment.
But I'm still taking the Chiefs. I mean, the Bears are a hot mess on both sides of the ball. I want to lock this in at 12.5 before it gets to 14.
Especially in Arrowhead. All right, Dallas Cowboys go 2-0. They are going to Arizona. Another 12.5 spot here. 43.5 is the number over on DK. So, Pat, this one I'm a little bit more confident in with the 12.5, although Arizona has shown some moxie. Maybe that's the best way to put it. So what do you think? Any early value here, or is this a hard pass?
Yeah, again, the Cardinals have no incentive to win. So going against an elite team, I'm laying the points, and it was almost as if the Cardinals realized they were in danger of winning that game against the Giants in week 2 and said, wait, what are we doing? We're tanking. So yeah, and with the talent gap between these two teams, yes, I want Dallas, and I'm willing to lay anything under 2 touchdowns.
All right, Sam, how about you? Another big spread here. Do you think this is investable yet?
I'm a little bit more worried about this spread. I think, again, Arizona's offense has, to your point, shown a little bit of moxie. This Cowboys defense, though, is just smothering opposing offenses. They're just so good. I think with the lower total, this could be a game where, it just doesn't move that fast on either side of the ball. There aren't a ton of points scored, and so Dallas comes away with maybe a 10-point victory and isn't able to cover.
Now, the next one on this list here in the early look ahead is Las Vegas and Pittsburgh. They're in Vegas. Vegas is 1 point home underdog here at -109. You can get Pittsburgh at -1.5 right now over on BetMGM. To tell you the truth, the 44.5 right now with DK, that's the best number you can get, -110. But Sam, I'm looking at that +104 on FanDuel and that plus money on the Vegas Raiders to win this game. That's where I'm leaning now, but I'm really hands off on this game until I see what Steelers team shows up tonight, because they got their butt kicked at home by the 49ers, and we all thought they were going to be competitive. They were not. So I am in the wait and see category on this particular game. How about you?
This is tough. We don't know what the status of Jacoby Myers or Devontae Adams is right now heading into the week. Like, if both of those guys are out, then I give it to the Steelers and I want that side. But if they are both active, then I'm for sure on the Raiders. So this for me is a stay away right now, knowing that, because if they are both healthy and able to play, then I'm definitely on the Raiders. Their pass offense has looked pretty good, especially against the Broncos and the Bills this season. So I like the Raiders, but that's contingent on their 2 best wide receivers playing in the game.
Well, look, if their two best wide receivers are out, Fitz, and the Steelers don't play well, I still think this Vegas money line will continue to grow, which means maybe I'm just going to continue to wait on it. But what do you see about this? Was this wait and see what Pittsburgh Steelers team shows up tonight?
Yeah, the Steelers are a mystery to me right now, Joe, so I don't want to bet either side here, but I am interested in the under. Not only the Raiders wide receiver injuries, but the Steelers. I don't think they'll have Deontay Johnson back for this game, and we don't know what George Pickens' status is. So with all these injured wide receivers, I saw a 44-point total on DraftKings this morning, and I grabbed it.
All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0. The Philadelphia Eagles are 2-0. Right now, Tampa Bay is 6.5-point home dogs here, -105 on DraftKings. You can get -7 on the Philly side at Sugar House. 45 is the total for this one. Look, Fitz, I know Tampa has 2 wins. I don't care. I like the Eagles in this game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually think we're getting some value with the Eagles, and maybe there is some misplaced faith in Baker Mayfield right now because he hasn't thrown an interception, and he's only been sacked once in the first 2 weeks. But, oh, by the way, he was playing the Vikings and the Bears. Now he's going to play against the Eagles and the best pass rush in the league, which after a disappointing game against the Vikings where they really didn't get after Kirk Cousins and sort of let the Vikings do what they wanted to do with the passing game, I think things are going to be a lot different this week. I think the Eagles are just going to take it to the Buccaneers offense, and I do like Philly.
That's 2 out of 3, Sam. You on board?
Let's make it 3 for 3. I think you're selling the Bucs at their highest right now. They got extremely lucky with the turnovers in week 1 against Minnesota and then played the Bears last week. So I'm on the Eagles -7.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one you jump on early, too, because I think some of the sharper people are going to be on it, and that line is going to make some movement. Last one here. This is a tough one. Cincinnati Bengals, 0-2, just like last year, and then we get lulled into a false sense of security. The Rams are going to go to Cincinnati. 6.5 is the number here. Cincinnati is favored by 6.5. 46.5 is the total. Sam, is this line wrong?
I think it is. I mean, I think if you can get the Rams on the other side of 3 at 3.5 or better, I'm taking it. I mean, I know the Bengals offense looked a little better in the second half against Baltimore on Sunday, but the Rams, beat the Seahawks outright in a game that shocked everyone. They were able to remain competitive against the 49ers, again, a team we mentioned as potentially the best in the NFC. And the Bengals defense hasn't really played that great either. They have just a 27% pressure rate on defense and a 48.5% success rate allowed, which is 27th. So I like the Rams. I mean, ride with Puka Nacua, I guess, and hope that he can dice up this Bengals secondary.
Fitz, where are you at with this one? Because this one feels like maybe the Rams aren't getting enough credit. Maybe the Bengals are getting too much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm walking into a giant mousetrap here, Joe, but I am a Wisconsin native, so I'm always going to go for that cheese. The Bengals have not shown us much this year, and the Rams have been surprisingly plucky. Like 6.5 feels like way too much, especially if Joe Burrow isn't totally healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to watch this Burrow injury. We'll see what happens. And stay on top of all of that, too, with our Fantasy Pros news desk. You can stay on top of all those injuries. And again, download the new BP app. That way you can set the game notifications so you know exactly where the lines are moving on some of these really important games that we laid out here for you. And while you're on the app, join the NFL contest or go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest and drop a comment below. Subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube, and you just might win yourself a James Cook autographed jersey. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Sam and Pat, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.